I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Seeing no citizens' comments, we will move on to special recognitions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to make everyone aware, we actually received this just this afternoon. Dr. Arthur and Dr. Martha Pappas sent forward a check today in the amount of $5,000 towards the We the People fundraising campaign. So we had reached out to them, and they gave this same value last year to the students. So as you can imagine, the teachers and students are thrilled. They do have a number of campaigns, fundraising activities ongoing, all of which are posted to our website. So I encourage people to participate, and certainly thank the Pappases for their extreme generosity.
That's wonderful.
Great start.
Wayne?
I'd like to say too, not only the $5,000, they do so much for this town and donate so much money. It's just unbelievable what they do for this town. It's a great help to our residents and the school system too. And it's just great to have them around.
Any other comments?
Thank you.
Thank you for the support.
Absolutely.
We're very lucky to have a community that's so supportive of betterment of our kids, so.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think it's all been said, so thank you to the Pappases. Appreciate that very much. We now move on to the student representatives report. Mr. Champagne?
Thank you. So, first of all, that's what I was going to talk about was the We the People, and as a part of the team, I would like to also thank the Pappases for that donation. We also have a number of other ways you can donate money to the cause, I guess you can call it. We have a bunch of raffles going on, or any other donation that anyone would like to give, we'll happily take it because we want to represent our school at the national level at the George Mason University in Washington, D.C. in a couple months. That'd be nice to do. So as far as sports, all of our winter sports did pretty well this year. Our track team did very well. Our girls team won Swickle, I believe the boys did as well, and both of them made it to districts, so they did. It was a good year for track. And with winter sports coming to an end, we have our spring sports starting up soon. We have like after school captains practices, all of that's going on. We're getting ready for the spring. A couple other things, our band is going to Disney next weekend, so they're all pretty excited for that trip. We won't stop talking about it. Also, this weekend is our annual ski trip, and I believe we're going to Killington this year. So other than that, around the school, it's like our trimester's ending tomorrow and Friday, the last 2 days. We've got finals going on, so we're kind of winding down for this trimester, but also gearing up for next trimester in the spring sports, because then it's the home stretch and summer. So thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for the report. Any questions or comments?
What are they going to do for spring sports? Because I've been hearing that on the news, that it's going to be a real
Hold on,
problem.
Jesse.
The coaches told us to have our shovels ready, so.
If you want to play, you have to shovel.
I have a question. If people want to donate, how should they go about donating cash to them?
Contacting our two teachers, either Spencer Kennard or Vincent Bonaccio, would be the best way. Just send them an email. Their emails are on the school website.
Okay.
Okay.
There is also, too, on Facebook, as well as I believe on the website, they have a GoFundMe account, and there's a live link for you to be able to donate right through there as well.
And Auburn in Mass
Yeah.
Daily has the address, you can mail it in.
Correct.
I happen to have a check here, so if I send it down to you, will you take it to school tomorrow?
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, John. Great job.
Yeah.
Good luck with the fundraising. Hopefully we'll see you at a few of the events.
Yep. Thank you.
I would now seek approval of the minutes from February 19th.
Make a motion to approve February 19th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
We now move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item, as we do annually at generally a February or March meeting, the program of studies for Auburn High School, it does require your approval. Mr. Hanfield included a summary of the changes. As you can see, they are fairly minimal. We have, as we have over the past few years, we're maintaining the advanced placement courses that are being offered. We have a number of them, and as you indicated from our student representative, our students continue to take advantage of them, almost 400 students participating this year. So it is my recommendation that you approve it, and if you have questions, I would be happy to answer them.
I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'd make a motion to approve the high school program of studies handbook.
Do I have a second? Any discussion on that?
I'd just like to comment that I read the whole thing through email, and I was so impressed. Do they print that up and give it to every incoming student or
They
all
do
students?
make it
or-
available, and actually students use that for scheduling. They try to stay with the online version, but they do have hard copies
It's
available.
70 pages. and-
It is. It's a big document.
Yes. Someone took an awful lot of time and effort to prepare that. Very thorough.
Mm-hmm.
Good prep for university.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would just echo Gail's statements and thank the leadership team for putting in the extra effort there. It was a great job. I also, maybe I didn't read it as thoroughly as Gail, but I did skim the whole document.
Well, I've never
There's
seen
a
it
lot to
before, and I was like, wow, this is just awesome.
Yeah, the first time's exciting, and then the second or third. All
I will
right.
say it's a tribute, I think, to the school committee and to the district and the community. The number of offerings, we're a relatively small high school, under 700 students, but there is just a plethora of different offerings and a wide variety for our students, so I think it is
It's
very commendable.
big difference from when we went to high school and
Right.
you had to take this, and
Yeah.
this, and that was it.
Yeah.
We have
Yes, Ms. Harrington?
Yeah, I was impressed with the courses, the Empowering Young Women course that they have, and then the Sports and Fitness for Young Women.
Yeah.
I just think that's great.
Yeah.
That's never available back in my
Yeah,
day.
no, exactly.
Anything else? All in favor? Aye, it is a vote.
The next item you see, Target has once again, through their Take Charge of Education program, Mary D. Stone has received a check in the amount of $127.36, and it's my recommendation that you accept it with the thanks already having been made.
I would entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make that motion to accept.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, it is a vote.
The next item, Congressman McGovern reached out recently to all of the districts within his area, and he is establishing a congressional youth cabinet, and as he noted in the memo, it's an opportunity for young people to actively engage with a member of Congress to increase their civic engagement and provide feedback on issues affecting their daily lives. So he asked for a representative from each district. Mr. Hanfield and Ms. Donahue worked with actually the Social Studies Department, and they have selected and they refer to her as Nana Opoku Ajaman, who will represent Auburn High School. She is a member of the Humanities Scholars Program, and as well as many other things, but I happened to see her there at an event at Holy Cross recently, and presents extremely well, and very poised young woman, so she will represent us well, I'm sure.
Excellent. Any comments? Seeing none?
The next item, as noted in here, Mr. Kazanovich has reached out and requested that the school committee consider rescinding 2 authorizations that are no longer needed. So as part of your packet, what had been prepared and put together, there are actually 2. The first one was approved back on May 16th of 2000, and it was an original authorization in the amount of $12,833,913. And the intention for that was to construct, equip, and furnish a new high school, and to construct in addition to, and the remodeling and reconstructing of, and making extraordinary repairs to the current middle school. A decision was made, my understanding, I was not superintendent at the time, but they instead decided to build a brand-new middle school and to not go forward with the, build a brand-new high school and not go forward with the middle school at that time. The fact that the town has now generously supported, and we are nearing completion on a new middle school, they've never borrowed this, but it sits on the books as an authorization. And as detailed to both Mr. Barber and I, it really would assist in their bond rating because it looks as though it's money that could be borrowed when in fact it doesn't need to be. The second one was just in May of 2011, and that was for the middle school feasibility study. We've already gone through that process, and if you remember at the time, we actually were able to reappropriate some CIP money, as well as I think some may have been taken from free cash, so it needed to be authorized per MSBA. They never needed to borrow on it. So he's very comfortable in requesting that both of them be rescinded, but only the school committee can do that.
I would entertain a motion to rescind both of the balances. Is that how we would?
Yeah, so it would be to rescind the authorization from March 16th, 2000 in the amount of $12,833,913, $12,833,913, and $419,960 from May 11th, 2011.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to rescind the two authorizations, including the March 16th, 2000 amount for $12,833,913 and the May 5th, 2011 in the amount of $419,960.
Excellent. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Nice job.
Included in your packet was we had already provided an update for you in November of the strategic plan, but as I had shared with you on January 14th, the entire strategic planning team had reconvened, and we made some additional adjustments, some of those being to dates. And primarily, they had to do with looking at the reality and coming up with some of the activities that either we had begun or would soon begin. We did add in a couple of additional items as well. So it is my recommendation that you approve the updated plan as presented, and we are meeting again on April 13th. And following that, we'll bring to you a full update of all the activities from this school year.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion to approve the strategic plan update as of March 4, 2015.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote. We now move on to unfinished business.
So just as a reminder, the bus applications, we sent it home again earlier, just yesterday actually, earlier this week, that they are due on April 1st, and happy to report that they do continue to come in, but there are many, many left to arrive. So hopefully they will all come in soon.
And now,
On to the naming of 10 Swanson, what we refer to as 10 Swanson Road.
okay. So, where do we begin? Have we had an opportunity to take a look at the three names provided by our committee? We have any thoughts on these names before we move forward?
I keep thinking about them and thinking about them. What about you, Wayne?
I'm not sure. I like the Yarvin Memorial Immediate School myself, but I really could go with the board and what they really want because, I mean, they're all good. I just was, the only thing I would have to say is I just thought there'd be more names brought to us than this, but.
Well, I think what happened was we started out with quite a few, and it became difficult to kind of sort through those because we're not meeting outside of here, we're not having conversations outside of here.
Right.
And so I think that's why they narrowed it down to three, so that we wouldn't be kicking them around all night. I know it's difficult to just look at the three of them, but I think what they did do, and I thank the committee, and I apologize for any comments that I might make toward these names because I appreciate the work that you put in. But, I think what they tried to do is just kind of narrow things down and make things easier for us. And I think they were taking the voice of the community, which is also what I've been doing right along. And as I said the last meeting, kind of the way I wanted to build a consensus. So again, whatever comments I might make toward the names or whichever way I lean, it's got nothing against that committee because I appreciate the hard work that you do.
We tried to,
No.
we just tried to take something from the suggestions, and then the memorial was something we had started with, and kind of got a little bit of each here. And
Well, through the chair, I have no problem with the names at all. I just was kind of surprised there wasn't more, and I had nothing on reflecting on the work the committee does, because I know there was a lot. And that's why I just kind of wondered, but it's a hard thing to do when you get to naming things.
Dorothy?
I can personally say that my takeaway from the meeting 2 weeks ago, but what most greatly stood out to me was Officer Kennedy's statement about the safety situations and having an easily identifiable location. That really made the Swanson Road name stick out to me. But again, I do agree, Wayne. I think it needed to be fine. But that was my first.
through the chair, one of my thoughts is if I was a student there, and people said, where do you go to school? What would they like to answer? Would they like to answer intermediate school, Swanson Road, or Memorial School? That kind of, I keep going back and forth with that. What would a child want to say? Probably Rocket School, but we didn't go there.
Yeah, they had a lot of good ideas.
You know?
I would say that, and again, here come those comments that you may or may not appreciate. I didn't get a lot of good feedback from intermediate school, and I also wasn't moved by that. And I apologize for whoever's idea that was. But also, the way I look at it is, I know we name it a high school, and I know that we name it a middle school, and I think I commented similar to this at the last meeting. The students know where they're going to school. They know when they're getting on the bus, and the parents know which school they're going to. So I don't know that it needs to be named intermediate or elementary or upper elementary or primary, because we know where they're going. They're going to Swanson Road. So that's just my opinion and the opinion of others, but feel free to critique that. So my recommendation would be Swanson Road School. And again, this is a discussion. I'm not trying to capitalize on this by going first. I'm just trying to open up things and kind of give you my feeling on it. So Swanson Road School, I've heard it quite a few times now. I don't know that anyone could have a real gripe with that. We're not going out of our way to name it something special, to favor one way or another, memorial or upper or intermediate or elementary, and we're also not throwing any names on there, which I do think that it's in some portion of the school we should have some type of a memorial, if you will, for the two schools that are closing down. Maybe with a small model plaque of the school, you know how they make the little picture of the building out of a plaque, something like that. And then, maybe some history in there, inside the school somewhere. But that would be my recommendation, Swanson Road School, and I would open that up to the rest of the committee. Any thoughts, comments?
My only concern with that is Bryn Mawr School is on Swanson Road, and that's why I tended to like something that differentiated this Swanson Road School from Bryn Mawr, so that you knew exactly which of the two schools you were talking about. I mean, my two favorites are the Auburn Memorial Intermediate School and the Swanson Road, either upper elementary school or elementary school, but upper differentiates it again from Bryn Mawr, which is kind of why I was leaning either of those two.
Well, that makes sense, and I do appreciate that, Gail. Any other comments?
Well, I like Auburn Intermediate School, and all of the parents that I encountered, which are many, many, they all loved it.
Wow.
We're talking several PTO meetings and Facebook. That's my input. That would be my favorite. I also like Swanson Road, Upper Elementary, but I think you're right, we need to make it separate from, because
Yeah.
Bryn Mawr is on
Actually, I
Swanson
didn't
Road,
even-
so.
Really come up to that until you actually said it, then it clicked.
But we had talked about that in the committee, so that's why a student actually came up with the Upper Elementary,
Yeah, this was
the
students'
students pick.
suggestions, yeah. I like that.
Maybe that's most fitting, a student.
It's a lot of letters, though.
Someone in the school system, I feel, giving it maybe.
I would just say that when it was the middle school, I don't think there was a lot of confusion with people going to the wrong school,
But these
whether
are
in the
both the,
morning or the afternoon.
but
or
these are both the
school events.
elementaries,
Right.
Right.
whereas middle was a creature of its own.
I guess who are we concerned about? Is it the bus drivers not getting there, or the parents, or visitors, or guest speakers? I mean, and-
The town as a whole.
I just think it should be differentiated from the other Swanson Road School somehow.
And I agree with that. I like the Auburn Memorial, but
I
I
do
would go
too.
with the other Auburn, when you were talking about this, immediate.
I think it sounds classy and timeless, and
it's timeless. Okay.
What if we put them in order and see how it comes out? What if we put them in order, like your 1, 2, 3, your 1, 2, 3, my 1, 2, 3, and see how they come out?
Well, what if it's Swanson Road Intermediate School? I mean,
Yeah.
there's are there favorites and we can merge,
Yeah?
or something. I mean, I don't know.
I have no problem with Gail's idea of putting them in the order that we like them, and then we'll still take it to a vote, and we'll still have an opportunity to disagree with that name. Is there any objection to that?
Okay.
Otherwise, we could go back and forth all night with this, and it is important enough to talk about for a while, don't get me wrong. So, Ms. Harrington, would you like to start us off with your top three?
the first one, Auburn Intermediate, would be my first choice. Swanson Road would be the second, and the third choice would be the Auburn Memorial.
Ms. Sutton?
My first one would be Swanson Road Upper Elementary, my second would be Auburn Intermediate, and my last would be Auburn Memorial.
Is someone tabulating this?
I am.
Oh, okay. My first choice would be Swanson Road, Upper Elementary, or Elementary, something Swanson Road. My second would be Auburn Memorial, and my third would be Auburn Intermediate.
Mr. Page?
My first would be Auburn Memorial, and my second would be Auburn Intermediate School, and Swanson Road would be my third.
My number one would be Swanson Road. Number two would be Auburn Intermediate. And 3 would be Auburn Memorial.
Okay,
How did we do?
well, the Swanson Road Upper Elementary, or Swanson Road School, I'll say for now, had 3 number 1 votes. And then Auburn Intermediate School and Auburn Intermediate Memorial School each had 1 number 1 votes. So that's one distinction there. In terms of the number 2 votes, Auburn Intermediate School received 2 number 2 votes. Swanson Road School received 1 number 2 vote, and Memorial School received 1 number 2 vote. Memorial School received the most number of number 3s. It had 3 number 3 votes. Intermediate School had 1 number 3 vote, and Swanson Road had 1 number 3.
Thank you, Wayne.
Okay.
So,
Looks
that
like-
being said, do I have a motion from anyone on either of the schools, or based on the numbers that we've been given, or the...
Well, that one's not gonna go anywhere, so. I'd make a motion for the Auburn Intermediate School.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on that? I would say that Did you have something?
Only in terms of voting, I guess, does that just negate the votes?
Pretty much.
I think we were just trying to, I think with the
Yeah.
vote, we were just trying to get a feel for
Right, but we still have to put a motion in.
where we were.
Okay.
I still like Swanson Road best.
I would say that I will not be supporting the intermediate school. Contrary to what Jesse's been hearing around town, I must be in the wrong clique, because I haven't heard many good things about intermediate school, but I won't be supporting that.
So you
But,
Could you support Swanson Road?
We need to
we
take a
get a
vote.
motion in a
yeah, we have a
second.
motion.
No, they're,
Yeah,
they're discussing.
It wasn't
if they can.
seconded, was
Do we
it?
have a second?
The motion wasn't
Yes.
seconded.
Yeah, it was seconded.
Oh,
Jesse
was-
seconded it, yeah.
That's why I opened it for discussion.
Oh.
Is there any further discussion on this one? All in favor of Auburn Intermediate School?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Okay, that one's not gonna fly.
Okay.
That is a vote. Do I have another motion?
I'll make the, go ahead. I'll make the motion for Swanson Road Upper Elementary School.
Do I have a second?
I'd second that.
Any discussion?
Just going by the numbers. Numbers first and so.
We're on Swanson Road School. I would say that, as you know, and I'm not trying to push my opinion on you, I am in favor of Swanson Road School. Is there any chance that we could knock off the upper, or are we pretty happy with the upper?
I actually liked Gail, personally, Gail's point about this differentiating the two schools.
Mhm.
I thought that made sense.
Okay. Any other commentary?
Or even if you took out upper elementary and did intermediate school, which is kind of a combination of the two.
I actually think I personally like that idea, because then it incorporates the best of what most people wanted.
I would be
People
happy with
wanted-
that, too.
People wanted intermediate,
You could do Swanson Road Intermediate School, and if we would put the two together in a sense.
compromise, does that,
Putting all three together.
right, does that,
It sounds better
Would
than
you-
Upper Elementary, I feel, personally.
Would you like to rescind your motion? Was that, who made the motion?
Jesse did.
Yeah, I'm so confused.
Would you like to,
I'm rescinding my
and
motion.
who made the second?
Gail?
Gail,
I
would you
did.
like to rescind? Okay, do I have a motion for the Swanson Road Intermediate School?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we name the school the Swanson Road Intermediate School.
Do I have a second? Any further discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. it
We
is
have
a name.
vote unanimous.
It's a
We have a
compromise.
I shall stop calling it 10 Swanson Road.
Now it's Swanson Road.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your patience and understanding, and I appreciate
Home of
it.
the Junior Rockets, don't forget them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep, better get those in.
All right. Moving on.
Just a reminder that we have a public hearing at our next meeting at 7:15 regarding the fields for the new Auburn Middle School. We did send that notification home in the email yesterday. The two names that have come forward, actually just in taking from names of fields that had been there, were the Randall Field and the Granger Field. It is open for, per your policy, other suggestions if people have them. So we will share those with you at the next meeting.
Any comments?
Now, you said Mr. Granger had given some of that land from his property, and Mr. Granger is still alive, right?
Yes.
He lives up on Prospect Street, I
Yes.
think.
Yeah, so we're actually, I've been in touch with Lieutenant Maas from our police department, also from the Masonic Home, and he's getting me some information to share at the next meeting about some of the history around that.
Okay, because that would,
Yeah, I like Mr. Green.
yes, and I know they took his land at one
Couple times.
eminent domain up on Prospect Street to put a high school there, and then they didn't. And I think the town still owns his land. So if we could show him some consideration in this regard, I think that would be kind of a nice thing to do.
Absolutely, they'll give us something to think about in the next couple of weeks. I'd like to just backtrack for 1 second. We kind of closed that, now that we're still talking about naming here, we kind of closed that one down pretty quick. I just want to thank the public, thank the townspeople for coming forward with all of those names, thank the children, and I just want everyone to understand that we did take all of them into consideration. As I said earlier, we did have to narrow things down, and we certainly weren't trying to favor one person or the other. We really worked hard at trying to build a consensus, and we have a name now. And again, I just want to thank everyone who was involved in that process, from the bottom, from the elementary kids, the little intermediate kids, all the way up. Thank you.
Yes.
I wanted to just make you aware of some of the 9C cuts in terms of the Innovation Schools grant. It was only a reduction of $626, so an amendment has gone forward with that. The special town meeting, as you know, will be held on March 24th, as we typically do. My recommendation would be that we schedule a meeting to begin at 6:30 that evening, typically in the guidance office, and then should there be any action that's required of you, we would recess the meeting during the special town meeting and then adjourn it following it. But in order to set it, I would need a vote from you.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to convene a meeting of the school committee at 6:30 on Tuesday, March 24th, prior to the special town meeting at 7 p.m.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. It is a vote.
The next item from the School Building Committee, I'm not sure if you had the opportunity or not to go and look, but we did include in your packet here, we also included the articles that you had approved on Monday afternoon's meeting as well. A copy of the actual change order, as well as information that we received from Eric Moore at Lamro Pagano that indicates the plantings, the site plan that would be included to provide some visual barriers there, and on the back side it lists actually the types of plantings that would go there, and then also some photos that you had requested of that area. So I turn it back to you for your discussion regarding whether or not to leave it as the 4-foot chain link fence, and this is School Building Committee is asking this, or the white vinyl fence. I will tell you that the next meeting of the SBC is not until March 26th, so you certainly have time, whether it's tonight or the 18th, to make this decision, should you require any additional time.
When I was looking at this diagram, I wasn't exactly sure where the fence was, if that's the broken line or the solid line.
It would be planned for the dotted line.
The dotted line.
The dotted line is what you would see. What I believe is if we hold it, if you hold it this way, that this is West Street down here.
Yep.
And this would be the school area. Those large circles would be trees, for shade trees that would be in and around the parking lot area. So it would be the this area down here. Here's where you see lots of the plantings that are planned for it, as well as a tree-lined drive coming in. So this is how they would access the main route into the school building.
And is the largest rectangle, is that the fire tower itself in the middle of that fenced area, or?
I believe that it is. I would have to get that directly from Mr. Moore, but I believe that is the case.
I only had one question. Will the heat from the fire tower melt the vinyl fence?
That is a question I would have to ask. Yeah, I could have to ask.
If it would warp it or do anything to it, we'd be better to stay with the chain link. I mean, I don't know how hot that burns.
It burns.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I have a
Good
comment.
point. Gail?
Yeah, that's a
I think
very
that's a
good
really
point.
good point.
It is definitely an eyesore. The pictures are pretty horrible, but I think $10,000 can be utilized elsewhere. So I would say go with the chain link fence, but that's my personal input.
Any other comments? I would have to agree somewhat with Jesse, although I'd like to walk the area, hopefully in a week or so, when there's a little bit less snow, when it's all melted next week. I'd like to,
You must know something.
I would like to take a look at it, but at the same time, I just feel like putting a nice vinyl fence up against an old burnt-out fire tower just really, it's not going to make it any more make the area any more attractive. Nor will it make it any safer. Any middle school student or high school student or some hooligan that's hanging around there at night is going to be able to climb right over that fence as easy as they can, a 4-foot fence, or around it, or otherwise. I would say if we were going to spend that money, it might be better suited to go towards some extra plantings. Once the plantings that have already been designed were in there, and we take a look at it and say, okay, where could we put a couple more pine trees here or there?
Or larger
Privacy.
plantings to start with.
Exactly.
So that plantings break up things beautifully. And I mean, maybe if they were bigger,
Right.
if we could spend that money on something bigger to
That's-
get it a good start.
Wayne?
If I remember the conversations, and Mary Ellen,
I think a
you
lot of it
can correct me if I'm
was
wrong,
greens.
Yeah.
is when we had a discussion with the
Yeah.
chief about this whole issue, it was not a safety issue when we spoke on it. He was speaking only that parents may complain about the visibility of the stuff around the building and stuff like that.
Correct,
It
that-
was not a safety reason.
Correct, that is what he stated. It was really more for aesthetics.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Knowing that he did point out that the fence was only covering 3 of the 4 sides of it,
Right.
so.
It has to be open from the road for their use, so.
Right.
Yep.
So,
I think that $5,000, or extra $10,000, I'm sorry, I keep thinking it's 5,000 in addition to, but it's 10,000 in addition to.
Right.
I think that buys us a lot of landscaping, even low-maintenance type landscaping. Wayne?
the other thing is somebody was, I don't know if it was to a superintendent or not, but somebody was gonna talk to the town about seeing if they could appropriate the money through the town. I don't know if.
The 10,000 extra?
Yes. I don't know if anybody has done that, or if that's something else we should look at and hold us until our next meeting.
I did reach out to the town manager, Jacobson. We had a brief discussion on it. We honestly didn't finish the discussion. So if it comes back for the next meeting, I could certainly get more information, around that. I think, this entire project, but for the 58% that MSBA is supporting, is in fact coming from the town, through the whole project. So 42% of the project is coming from the town, the taxpayers already.
I'm just saying, like George had said, the money may be used in a better part of the project than to adding to that fence for something that's not really gonna accomplish a lot.
That's,
And if we better need it for our children, for their education or something like that, I'd rather go that way with it.
Sure.
But if it's possible, I mean, they got
yeah, just
money in free cash and stuff like that, I don't think it would hurt their budget to do that, when we can take our money, and whether it comes from town or not, take our money and put it into the schools.
Okay. And what I can do as well that I'm hearing, so I'm making notes on this, is also to see about some potential additional plantings, or maybe even some more mature plantings, and what a cost of that might be. Is that what I'm hearing? Request around, okay.
Who came up with the original landscape plan?
That's all part of the design, so Lamar Pagano would have put that together.
Because I'm looking at the size of most of the things they're putting in, and they're not that big. And, like, they have 210 hollyberry bushes, 24 inches high. And Holly isn't going to grow to block any view really anytime soon. Maybe, you know, like evergreens that start off 10 feet, 8 to 10 feet, or 7 to 8 feet. And maybe the numbers could be switched around or something
Sure.
So,
to block the view better than
Wayne.
what's right here.
The only thing is, that brings me back to what Gail had said about the heat. Would the trees and branches and stuff be too close to the building part on some areas and kill them? That may be something we're doing for
Or
nothing.
burn.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
So, I mean, that's another question we can
Yeah.
check on. I mean,
how much has the school building committee researched the fence part of this?
It was brought forward to them a couple of meetings ago. There were some comments made by SBC members at the most recent meeting, and it was requested to bring it back to the school committee. They did not take a vote on it. I think, and Mr. Page, correct me if you feel otherwise, it seemed to be those people who spoke about it that evening were not necessarily in favor of spending the additional money. They felt that the tower was there when the building was approved. There was some mention of potentially, landscaping, and even some more landscaping potentially helping it. So, but there was no vote taken. It was really sent to school committee. But if I also may, through the chair, on that landscape schedule, you really need to pay particular attention to the items that are highlighted. It appears almost to be like a light pink. So not all of these things, this is the entire landscape schedule for the entire complex. Those in red, so the red maples, the white oaks, the red cedars, the blue spruce. So the blue spruce is a 7 to 8 foot. The red cedar is an 8 to 10 foot. Those, I think, are really more the ones based on the key that are intended to provide some cover. Now, it appears
And the
there are
rest would be
some.
for the grounds.
Yeah, it appears there may be some smaller ones, but those seem to be the bulk of what is being proposed here. But I can certainly bring it back. We meet on a weekly basis to Lambert Pagano. I can reach out to them tomorrow to see, what some additional, even some more mature plantings might be, and have that for you for next meeting.
And SBC's not meeting until the 26th.
26th, correct.
So we need to make a decision before that.
I think they would appreciate a decision if, at the next meeting. I will say this, it was shared at the last meeting that with, unless we get the melting that you're predicting in the ground thaw, they probably won't be installing the fence for a bit. So you've got at least the next meeting. The meeting after that is April 1st, so you may be safe even at that meeting, too.
I would just love to get some commentary from the SBC. They put so much work into this. If there's a reason behind this that they're on board with, I just hate to step on any toes without at least hearing from them.
Okay.
But I am leaning toward not spending the money on a fence. I definitely like plantings better.
Okay.
But I would love to hear something, if it's not an official meeting from them.
Yep.
Maybe just some commentary, maybe, and I hate to bother them. I know they put a lot of time into this, but if they had a spokesperson here who maybe had a conversation or two about this in the past, who could, kind of share with us, or even a phone call if
Okay.
need be.
I'd be happy to look into that.
And with that being said, if there's nothing further on this, we'll table it until next meeting.
Sounds good.
All right.
The master plan team, we don't intend to meet again until May. The contract, with your approval at last meeting, has been awarded to Antonelli, so we continue with our plans moving forward on that. And again, I thank Mr. Ringard, Mr. Fahey, Mr. Miller, and the entire master plan team for all their hard work. The Reuse Disposition Advisory Group had their most recent meeting on Monday evening with a tour of Mary D. I don't know if you have anything to share. We have requested copies of the meeting minutes. I know that you had requested that previously, so we should have those for you at the next meeting.
Through the chair, we had another really productive meeting on Monday night. We went and had a full tour of Mary D. Stone School, led by Joe Fahey, and the former principal, Beth Johnson, actually came along to give us a lot of the history. It was a really nice touch. to go through. We also talked through a lot of the zoning, as well as try to somewhat prioritize what the general consensus was about both of the schools. And what the committee really ended up with was that we wanted to speak to the Auburn Housing Authority just to get their input on really the potential, because it seems like there have been a lot in favor of looking into this perhaps being for senior housing, but we really need Auburn Housing Department's input and about which building might be more ideal, how we would then start that out. And then we're also looking into getting some additional numbers on just making it ADA compliant. Should some of that be used for office space? Because once it's turned from a school, an educational building, into really any other thing, it has to then be up to current code. So our next meeting will be March 16th on Monday in the Selectmen's room at 6 p.m.
Excellent. Wayne?
Are you sending a letter to the Housing Authority Director to see if she'll be going to that meeting to see?
We've asked her to come. I don't know
You
if
did?
she's, yes.
Okay.
So I don't know if she's agreed, but hopefully there were just a lot of unanswered questions that we really needed to get
Right.
directly from her. And also, we will be having, they haven't set the date yet, but we'll be having some open forums just for members of the community to come in to say how they would like to see. The committee really just needs to make sure that we have an understanding of what can be done by law. And so our options are, and then go from there. So stay tuned. It's a lively committee. I'll say that.
Excellent. Thanks for the report. Any other comments?
Thank you.
Moving right along.
As I had reported to you, I did present at the Finance Committee meeting last week, and it's my understanding that they would be voting tonight, the warrant articles, at least that's my understanding, for the March 24th special town meeting. So I'm hopeful it will receive a positive endorsement from them, as well as from the Board of Selectmen when they review those as well. In terms of the FY16 budget, Governor Baker's budget was released today, and I'm happy to report that in terms of Chapter 70, which is the education funding, that came out. His recommendation, his proposal for the budget is to hold districts harmless with the FY15 Chapter 70 numbers, and then at a minimum, adding $20 per student to the Chapter 70. So what that means for Auburn is an increase of $46,860 in his proposal based on our students. As you know from here, the House will submit their proposal, the Senate will submit theirs, and then together there will be negotiation and ongoing discussion. So based on that, we actually reviewed, and as I promised, we met as a leadership team today, and you have this at your seats. It was left for you today. If you'll recall, the town manager and CFO have recommended an increase to the school department's budget of 1.55%. You asked for some information to be provided to you, and that's in the packet. But again, if you refer to what I left at your seat, this has been updated. So the first thing that was requested, you wanted to know what have the increases been over the past several years. And since my tenure in this role, starting in fiscal year 2009, it shows that in that first year, it was actually a decrease in the budget. It was a dollar decrease of $13,850, 0.6% negative budget increase there. And then it shows each year thereafter. Based on what you have before you this evening is a budget that shows an increase of 2.21%. What it does is it allows us to maintain our current staff, except for where you see highlighted in yellow on this sheet that's listed there. It would be the elimination of a second nurse, so there would be a full-time nurse at 10 Swanson Road, as well as a portion of an LPN. It would be the elimination of a third grade position that has been planned right from the start, based on class size numbers due to the merger. The elimination of 3 instructional assistant positions, and that's in getting a special education teacher to support co-teaching and inclusion at the high school. And with the addition of a speech-language pathologist, it would be the reduction, or the elimination, I should say, of a speech-language pathologist assistant in SLPA. So we'd get a person in a full-time capacity who could test students and provide services to them with the elimination of others. But it does allow for certainly, not tremendous growth, but it does allow for some forward movement, which I know is what we're always seeking, not only from our students and their work and our staff, but I think that this budget presents that at the 2.21% in response to your comments.
Would we like to have a discussion before opening this up to a motion? Any comments, questions?
I have one question.
Go.
When we originally had talked about this, were we going to add a full-time school psychologist? And now it's been reduced to a part-time?
We've actually, so we have, we'll be replacing a retiring school psychologist. The original request was to add on an additional one at the elementary schools. What this would do at the 2.21 would bring on half-time. So it's an increase in what we have currently, not as much as had been requested. Correct.
Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Is the LPN a full-time position at Swanson Road?
So undetermined at this point. I think what we'd really have to do, currently our school nurses work 7 hours and 15 minutes contractually. I think that the bulk of the time in terms of students who have high needs in terms of medications, they really cluster around the lunchtime. So what it may be able to do is maybe it's a 9 to 2 type position or something like that. So those details would be worked out, but it would, I don't believe we would need from the very start of the day until the very end, but certainly during those critical midday times. And the plan would be that once things get settled there at the school, and after a few months, that the person in this position might be able to assist at some of the other schools with some of the mandated screenings, perhaps with vision and hearing and such.
Because I know that is a concern from the nurses. They would like to see a floating nurse or someone that can come and help with the screenings and the busy day-to-day work that eats up a lot of their time.
Sure.
But, I mean, I am concerned with that many kids just having one nurse that just doesn't sit well with me. I know it is a concern in the community as well, so I just have hesitation with that.
Sure.
Do we have 2 nurses currently at the middle school?
We don't. We have one nurse
Just
currently
one
at the middle
per
school.
population.
Right.
I have questions, actually.
Yep, go ahead.
Several. Hold on. So I actually have to say that I would, in order for me to really feel comfortable going to an LPN, I also would really feel strongly about having them there full-time, just because if there's a serious emergency and there's only one trained nurse, I feel like that's just a risk with children.
Sure.
Small. Secondly, I have a question just about how we're actually calculating the 3rd grade class sizes. I know in particular they were already pretty close to being large this year, and we've lost a few students after the October cutoff date.
Sure.
However, what sort of a buffer do we have if for some reason there's an influx? Because people want to, I'm thinking actually with the new school, if it is a selling point, a move to Auburn, we're merging our schools, we've got new middle school. How bound are we to this, elimination of a 3rd grade teacher specifically?
So what we did back when we first started this process with the merger, what I can tell you is we looked at combining the numbers, and the school committee has added a teacher at 3rd grade and at 4th grade at Julia Bancroft. The numbers comparatively at Packagug are substantially lower. Now, what we would be looking at, and I'd have to get the exact number for you, but what we would be looking at is class sizes basically in the 21 to 23 students per class range. Historically, what has happened is, and we actually set in place a protocol several years ago, that we monitor that as the school year continues and even through the summer. And what I've done in the past is, if it gets closer to that 25 number, the school committee in the past has supported the addition of some instructional assistants to reduce the student-to-teacher ratio has happened. We've not added an additional teacher that late in the year, but with us now having 8 classes at 3rd grade, even if 8 new students were to come in, it only adds 1 additional student. So it actually gives us a little bit more flexibility having the entire grade level together. So I don't think, now I will say this, there are years, this is one thing we cannot predict, and it seems to come in clusters, you know, whether it's last year that they just had a lot of kids come into 1st grade, but that's something we can't predict. But what I would say we would do is just really carefully monitor it. And if we see that it's a spike, I would certainly bring it back to the committee.
Okay, thank you. And then my last question is actually, appropriate when I ask this question, specifically about the speech pathologist assistant's position.
Yep.
Given the ABA situation, will that still be available to the person currently in that?
Yes. So that individual had served as an ABA before. She would be able to go back into an ABA position. What this does is gives us some more flexibility. It's a newer model that we tried. An SLPA is not able to test students. She can only carry out the plan that's put in place.
Okay, but we're not eliminating the staff, it's just restructuring the system.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
clarifying.
One more question. Did you explain before about the elimination of 3 instructional, is that because the schedule changed?
What they'd actually proposed, and this was actually part of initial discussions around this, that similar to the SLPA in the speech-language pathologist, the special education teacher, really to support, currently we have 3 special education teachers at the high school. This would put in place a 4th one there. And actually in recent discussions with Mr. Hanfield as well as Ms. Kaufman and Dr. Lozay, looking to get creative and add what would be the equivalent of a full-time, almost a full-time additional person. With that, they would not need as many as the IA positions. In all likelihood, that would not be people losing positions, because if you look up above, we're going to be adding 3 IAs.
So are the levels?
Correct. Kindergarten inclusion, and then a one-to-one as well. So it's really a reshifting, but they would come out of there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think about every question could be asked has been asked. But I do have a concern with the nurses part of it too myself. I have to agree with that.
I will also say that for the extra couple of hours and just to set people's minds at ease going into this year, maybe we can get a better reading going into next year, but I would say for the extra couple hours a day, we should add the LPN position from the start of school in the morning until the end of school. It's really, and it may help us to get a better quality individual as well, giving them a couple more hours. So I would recommend that. And since we don't actually have a number on that, I think we could still entertain the motion and just work toward that. Thoughts?
The value that I have here, just to clarify my comment earlier, we had not yet set a schedule. The value and the reduction in this position would allow for a full-time person. But it was really going to be based on needs of student, as always.
Okay, I would entertain a motion
To do what?
to
I'm
approve,
lost.
to approve the F-16 draft budget.
Which is the 2.21% increase.
But if we're gonna add into the nurse's position, is that gonna raise it or?
No.
Nope, that's already, that was already calculated in.
Okay.
Yep. So if you want, I'm happy to suggest a motion if someone wants to then make it. Is that easier?
I'll make that motion that you're gonna suggest,
Okay.
Then I'll
so-
second it.
after I hear it.
All right, so to approve an FY16 draft budget in the amount of $23,488,154, which represents a 2.21% increase, and to send an invitation to the town meeting members for the public hearing, which is on April 1st.
Do I have someone to make that motion?
You got it.
Do I have a second?
You do.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's a vote.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for working on that.
Sure. And I thank the leadership team for their ongoing efforts on that as well. The school year calendar, I did include in your packet for you my recommended school calendar for next school year, as well as a letter or a memo that outlines the reasons for it. As indicated in that memo, Commissioner Chester has encouraged all school districts to become creative in their setting of the schedule for the next school year in light of the snow days that have been realized. Now, Auburn, we have been quite fortunate. We've had 4 snow days. Our current last day of school is June 12th for students. Earlier than many or most districts, I would say, in the vicinity. Because of the need for a lengthened summer of 2015, we typically start before Labor Day. It's my recommendation that students start after Labor Day. And in light of that, so the creativity comes in with abbreviating the February break. So it is my recommendation that we approve this. This would have the students' last day as June 14th. Obviously, we would build in snow days as we always do. We would front load with teacher professional development prior to student start, so teachers would come in 3 days that week before, which minimizes time that students would be out of school once they get into school. So this is my recommended calendar.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve option 1 for the 2015-2016 school calendar.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Comments?
I'm going to make a comment. I certainly would approve this calendar because we have to start later than usual. And it seems like the parents and the teachers are happy with this. And I would just hope that that would continue to be why we choose a calendar, not because the Commissioner of Education tells us to be creative. Because I think they're micromanaging us a little too much.
Good point.
All right.
If I may, just through the chair for the record, this has been shared, I don't want to give anyone a false understanding. This has been shared with the leadership team, with the school committee, and I've shared it with the leadership of the AA. It has not been shared with everybody, so I cannot state that this is a calendar that staff or parents are happy with. I can state that we had 95, 96, and 95% attendance for an abbreviated break, and anyone that I've spoken to certainly understands the reason for this, the goal being accomplish 180 days, try not to go too deep into June, and to allow us the long summer that we need. I just want people to think everyone was necessarily happy with this. I hope everyone is, but
I asked the question of some people that might have told me otherwise, and they didn't get back to me with any negative comments, so I think that they're okay, because I would have listened.
Excellent. And I'll pass along your regards to Commissioner Chester.
Yo, yes, please.
All in favor? Aye. It is a
I'll
vote.
give you his email.
Absolutely. Well, you know,
I'm sure he'll get right back to you.
They're getting a little too bossy, I think.
All right.
I did include for you my mid-year evaluation. It is slightly delayed. I apologize because it will be but a couple more meetings that I will be giving you my end of year, but I'm happy to report that through the efforts of many, the goals not only outlined herein but in the strategic plan, we continue to take seriously, and we continue to make what I would believe to be very strong, positive forward progress.
Any comments? Jesse?
I think it looked great, and thank you for all you do. I don't know how you ever sleep. It's just, you're very creative, and yeah, no, thank you for everything.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I will say, I'll echo Jesse's sentiments for sure. You're doing a great job. We appreciate it, and I did have an opportunity to look these over. And I just want to tell the committee that I am planning on kind of revising the way that we evaluate at the end of the year. I think Wayne's probably the only one that's familiar with it, but I remember all the pages and pages, and I think we were doing a lot more than we had to, from what I learned at the conference this summer, that Jesse and I sat in on this one section about superintendent evaluation, and I'm going to get together with Dr. Brunel, and we're going to kind of shrink up that packet so that we'll actually be able to put a little bit more thought into it, a little bit more thought and effort into it, yet we'll be doing a lot less writing. So, for those of you who haven't done it, you don't understand what I'm talking about, but it was a long, drawn-out process.
I like shorter.
Yeah, and from what Jesse and I heard at the conference, some of the other people were not aware of this either, that it could be focused on a lesser amount of goals rather than sitting there and writing narratives for 2.5, 3 hours, which is what we were doing last time around. So I will work on that. We've already talked about getting together, and I will report back to you after I've got something to report on. Wayne?
I would just like to say I've seen a lot of improvements in the superintendent. He has become a superintendent in our district, and I think with her team and the way things are being done, we've had a lot of good changes, and I think the school system is going in the right directions with supporting our students and the parents, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along.
So upcoming events, every time of year is a busy time of year for us. We have the Boys' Night is upcoming, I think, a week from Friday, which is always a fun and lively time. We have band concerts. We had one on Tuesday. We have one again tomorrow night in the elementary family math, among many other events upcoming. And you know it's a sure sign of spring when the weather may not say so, but daylight savings time this weekend and then kindergarten screening. So we're definitely looking ahead to next year at the same time.
Chair can actually just add just to one other thing. For anyone who's interested in getting involved, Auburn High School is actually hosting the Special Olympics for basketball on Saturday and Sunday at Auburn High School. They still have plenty of volunteer opportunities available, but you want to just come and show community spirit. They have a lot of things for children to do there while the kids are playing. It's just it's a really good feel-good event.
I will just add to that the opening ceremonies at Auburn High School are at noon, and I will be speaking on behalf of the committee and the Auburn Public Schools. So if any of you would like to join me at noon at the high school for the kickoff, they'll actually be starting earlier that morning, I believe 8 or 9 o'clock, but the actual ceremony will start at 12. So if anyone would like to be there for that and then stick around and volunteer or volunteer before that opening ceremony. But if you need any further information, feel free to contact Kristen Pappas, our recreation director in town. And also, I did get a message from Kristen saying that the only one that she didn't think that she was able to contact Gail, but she had contacted some other people, whether there was not a number or a email on the website. So I don't know if that's something we...
I thought I'm on it.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Maybe she missed it. I just wanted to throw that out there as well. But
Okay.
yeah, contact Kristen Pappas
Yeah, I
if you're
didn't hear from
interested.
Kristen, but, I mean, Julie's got a hold of you, so.
Okay. Well, hopefully I'll see some of you there, if not all of you.
Thanks for bringing it up, because I didn't hear it.
All right. We now move on to... Oh,
The
I'm
chair.
sorry.
Sorry. Just one more thing. The deadline for the Boys' Night ticket orders is due by Friday. So if people are interested in attending that event, we would like to have all of the ticket requests in tomorrow or Friday at the latest.
Now moving on to Mr. Barber with
You got
business and financial.
Through the chair, you'll find in the packet for the financial information is a listing of the current budget transfers. On the first page, you'll see it purely for information perspective, as all the transfers are staying within the same series. Your second set actually is for 3 different transfers that are for different series. The first one is to account for, or to fund carpeting that we're going to be doing installations of the 10 Thompson Road building facility. The second one is to account for and to adjust our building improvements and equipment encumbrances that we had to absorb for a lot of the changes that we've been trying to implement with, obviously, the building updates and so forth. And the third is for the funding the building security upgrades for 10 Swanson Road that we're planning on putting in as well. Are there any questions on these particular transfers?
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget transfers as requested by the business manager.
Do I have a second?
Sure.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. It is a vote.
The second in your package, you'll see a current or year-to-date budget report. From a spending as well as a available funds perspective, we're very parallel to where we were last year. So from a comfort perspective, obviously, there's a lot of resources that we have to allow for us to have our continued success with our budget as we've pretty much planned from our budget plan for this fiscal year. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer anything you might have on it.
Do we have any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Okay. There is a reference for a ProPay update. Due to completions and data that we had, we weren't able to wrap up the submission with the MSBA until Friday of last week. So unfortunately, because of the submission time, I couldn't get it into your package, but I'll have that available for you for our March 18th school committee meeting. And then lastly on my agenda items is also in your package, you'll see a copy of our Mass Department of Elementary and Secondary Education end-of-year pupil and financial report. We had completed or have gone through our audit of our independent accountants report on applying agreed-upon procedures over compliance for our end-of-year report that we submit annually. I would like to just say that we've completed the submission and we have 0 findings actually on our audit.
Excellent.
To the chair, if I can just recognize Mr. Barber as well as Ms. Moran and his team, Mrs. Lynch. It's the first time in my recollection that we've had no findings, so
Wow.
it's a very good job.
Thank you.
Excellent. Nice job.
I would. I was going to say, I believe there's a motion you need to recognize.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the auditor's report with congratulations to Mr. Barber for no findings.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further commentary? Mr. Barber, thank you. That is quite a feat, and I'm sure you were very excited about it. I know how you feel about numbers. I know when the auditors were coming, you were very excited to explain that to me, so.
The auditors were extremely excited that they got to actually see a project plan
Yeah.
for how you complete it. So and the thing in place that I'll actually reference is that there's literally a binder that I showed you at one point, and that's basically a structure that 10 years from now, if all of us are retired or resigned or gone to bigger pastures, we actually have a foundation.
Try and tell us something.
When we die.
And Howie's the only one left.
We should have the binder, right?
The binder will be there for a nice project plan for success in the future. So,
Excellent.
And I tried to make it so that everyone has something that they can really build off of from that side.
It was quite impressive, and no one was more excited than I was to look at that. All in favor? Aye. That's a vote.
At least I got smiles this year.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Great job. And we do need to go into executive session. I would
We
entertain a
do.
motion.
I make the motion to enter executive session per Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to discuss strategy with respect to contract negotiations with union personnel.
Do I have a
Non-union personnel.
And
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote.
Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
Ms. Sutton?
yes.
Mrs. Holloway?
Yes.
Mr. Page?
Yes.
Mr. Scobie?
Yes. Good night, everyone.